Hello and welcome to Crypto News 12/19/2025, and the top cryptocurrency news is as follows. Let's start today's episode with the ECB, which reports that the European CBDC is ready. As officials emphasize that the systems are built and the safeguards are in place, attention has turned to the political process required to approve the issuance. So, a European CBDC is already technically ready from what we're told. However, we need political approval before it can be made public, and we already know from Crypto News that there is pressure from several MFs to prevent that from happening. Moving on to ETFs, we'll just go to the spot Bitcoin ETFs, which have seen some serious movement. On December 17th, we had an inflow of $457 million, while on December 18th, we have outflows of $161 million. And to wrap up on ETFs, let me tell you that Bitwise has also filed with the US Securities and Exchange Commission SEC for a spot SUI ETF. So we have another one to look forward to for SUI. Moving on to tokenization, we will now go to Kraken, which, as you know, has acquired XSTOX, and now we will find Xstock services on the TON wallet. So TON itself is very aggressively entering tokenization with stocks. A little more specifically, let me tell you that this service will include 10 stocks. Among them are Apple, Amazon, Coinbase, Google, and Strategy, which together represent at least 95% of the work cycle. Let's also say that this service will not be available at launch in major markets such as the EU, the US, and Australia. The main reason is the intense regulatory climate, so they want to be 100% legal before they launch this service in those parts of the world. So we're waiting to see when the TON wallet is legally ready for those markets. Moving on, we're gonna go to the tokenization of Solana, which I told you about 6 days ago that there's a company that wants to put its shares in Solana, which will do it at some point in the future. It's not certain, but we're going to go to a company that has already done it, and we're going to go to Forward Industries, which is an asset management company that's invested heavily in Solana, and they've been able to issue their shares on-chain through a blockchain-based tokenization platform. Thus, Forward Industries shares, which are registered with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, are now available on the Solana blockchain through the Opening Bell platform, marking for the first time that the same shares of a listed company can be used directly in decentralized finance and the traditional sector, as the company states. And I say it again, we will see more and more of this in the future. Moving on to the affairs of Mr. Trump, the President of the United States. Let me tell you that Trump Media and Technology Group has increased by 41% in the 24-hour period for a contract that we had reported on Crypto News, and that is that they have signed a contract of $6 billion. More specifically, the stock of Trump Media and Technology Group increased, as we said, after the company announced that it had agreed to enter into a contract with the energy company TAE Technologies in an exchange worth $6 billion. So for this reason, we have the rise in its share. Moving on to our settings, we will see the developments that we have in quantum computers, and we will go to Aptos, which obviously wants to protect itself. For this reason, he has submitted a proposal to start having quantum signatures as a protection against quantum computers. We don't have much more yet, and from Aptos, we're gonna go to Bitcoin, where the whole community is pushing for the quantum threat, as Bitcoiners, from what I've read, are pushing more and more for an upgrade to BIP 360, which will bring quantum signatures to Bitcoin, because it seems like some people are starting to worry. Let's just say that I don't know if anything more substantial has happened, but there is a lot of pressure from the community. And for our latest news, let me tell you that the Pump Fund developer has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. We're talking about a Canadian developer named Jarrett, who was sentenced to 6 years in prison by a London court. His sentence comes more than a year after he exploited Solana worth about $2 billion from his then employer, Pump Fund, and he was convicted for that exploitation. And let's go to our favorite cryptocurrency market, where Bitcoin is at $87,000, and yesterday we immediately approached almost $90,000. The main reason for this rise is the US CPI, which was much better than expected. As we can see, the CPI was at 3%. They expected it to be 3.1%, and it came in at 2.7%, which shows that the population is starting to decline in the US. However, the price remained very low because we have Japan, where the yield on Japanese bonds reached 1.98%. The yield on Japanese government bonds rose to 1.98% in December 2025, the highest level since the 1990s. 90s. This is happening, as we already know from crypto news, as the markets are preparing for the Bank of Japan meeting today, so we expect an increase in interest rates, and for this reason all markets are looking at it. And as we've said before, they're selling a lot of risky assets right now to pay off their loans before the Bank of Japan raises interest rates. For this reason, I believe Bitcoin failed to rise despite the very good CPI we've had. That wraps up the top news for crypto today, December 19th, 2025. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care, everyone, and have a good day.